tafadhali tunaweza keti. Huyo deputy wangu ni fire, si fire. Wamesema ni fire sana. Basi naamini ya kwamba sisi zote tumesikiza kwa makini scorecard ya serikali ambayo imeundwa na chama yetu ya UDA na marafiki zetu. Na kabla sijaendelea, kati yetu tuko na marafiki ambao wametembea na sisi hii safari. Wameungana na sisi katika kuunda serikali ya Kenya Kwanza. Hata wale hatukuungana na wao katika serikali ya Kenya Kwanza, baada ya uchaguzi wamekuja na wameshirikiana na sisi, na kufaulu kwetu pia wamechangia sehemu kubwa. Tuwapigie makofi jameni. Tuko hapa na wanachama wa chama ya Ford Kenya, wapigie makofi. Are they here? Wanaweza kusimama? Some of them are there. Tuwapigie makofi. Thank you very much. Tuko hapa na wanachama wa chama cha Chap Chap wako kati yetu, tuwapigie makofi. Hapa tuko na wanachama wa chama ya Jubilee ambao wameshirikiana pamoja na sisi, tuwapigie makofi. Asanteni sana waheshimiwa. Tuko hapa na wanachama wa CCK, sijui kama wako humu ndani, kule nyuma, wapigie makofi. Tuko hapa na wanachama wa UDM walimeungana na sisi, tuko na Gavana Mahmud hapa na viongozi wengine kule nyuma. Asanteni sana. Sijui kama kuna chama ingine nimesahau. Tuko na Wiper, wale wamekuwa katika chama cha Wiper wako hapa, wapigie makofi. Ile atujibebe, wale watujibebe wako hapa, wapigie makofi. Tuko na chama ingine, chama Kenya United Party ya Lonyengapuo wameungana na sisi. Tuko na chama ilikuwa ya Isaac Ruto, chama ya CCM, pigeni makofi, wako hapa. Asanteni sana. Tuko na ODM, tutasema maneno ya ODM baada. Tuko na chama ya KANU, wana watu wa KANU wako hapa. Wapi watu ya KANU wasimame? Chama yetu ya zamani, karibu sana, asanteni sana. Tuko na chama ya DP, yuko hapa Bwana Mondigi, asante sana. Na tuko na watu walikuchaguliwa kwa independent, wasimame. Hawa wote, lakini sasa hawa wote ni jeshi yetu. Na tunasema asanteni sana kwa kuungana na sisi. Sisi tunasema karibuni, tutatembea pamoja na nyinyi kuunganisha Kenya na kuunganisha Wakenya wote. Mimi nataka nichukue nafasi hii in a very special way kurecognize ndugu yetu Musalia Mudavadi na chama ya ANC. Former members of ANC wasimame tuone jameni. Hawa sasa wanachama walikuwa wa ANC, sasa ni wanachama wa UDA. Tuwapigie makofi. Asanteni sana. Na mwisho kabisa, mimi nataka tukubaliane hapa ya kwamba tumesikia kwa kirefu implementation, vile tumetekeleza manifesto ya Kenya Kwanza. Si ni kweli? Tumesikia kutoka kwa profesa. Huyu profesa, hata kwa maoni yenu, anaelewa hiyo kazi ama haelewi? Si ametueleza vizuri vile tumesonga mbele na manifesto ya chama na vile tumetekeleza. Unajua Kenya hii kuna watu wa porojo mingi, propaganda mingi, Kule kwa social media imejaa fitina. Hakuna kazi imefanyika. Wale walituambia uongo. Lakini tunasimama hapa leo ili wale wanasema ya kwamba tuliwaambia Wakenya uongo waaibike. Leo tunasimama hapa, scorecard yetu inaonyesha wazi ya kwamba yale makubaliano tulikubaliana na Wakenya, manifesto Wakenya milioni 7.2 walipigia kura, imetekelezwa almost 80%. Maneno ya uchumi ni vile profesa ametueleza. Uchumi ya Kenya sasa iko imara. Maneno ya kilimo, tumesukuma kilimo sasa inaeleweka wazi. Hata tukizungumza hapa leo, tayari tuko na magunia milioni 8 ya mbolea ya msimu wa long range ambayo tayari almost 3 million bags iko katika stores zetu. Wakulima wanaweza kuanza kupanda from now mpaka April. Last year tulitumia magunia 10.1 million bags of fertilizer last year. This year, we are estimating 12.5 million bags of fertilizer. And already 3 million bags are in our stores. Another 3 million bags are already in Mombasa on its way to the stores. And we plan to use 8 million bags in the long range between now and April, May this year. So our commitment to making sure that we transform Kenya is solid, and it is on a solid foundation. Vile profesa ametueleza mambo ya ufugaji, hata ile sex cement ilikuwa shilingi 8,000. Today, sex cement for our dairy is 1,400 shillings from 8,000. And that is why Kenya has moved from producing 4.6 billion liters of milk to 5.2 billion liters of milk today. Kenya is now the largest milk producer in Africa. And that is a fact. And it is because of the interventions we have done in that sector. And we can say everything else on education. We have transformed education in a very fundamental way. We have sorted out the problems that we have with CBC. We have sorted out the teacher shortage. We have sorted out the infrastructure shortage. 21 universities have been declared insolvent. Today, because of the new funding model, our university education, our TVET education is on sound footing. Ask any vice chancellor, ask any principal of a TVET institution. That transformation is going on. When we go to all the other fields that have been explained to us, we can confidently say that we have been faithful to the implementation of the agenda upon which the people of Kenya had voted for this administration. And we are ready to face our competitors with our scorecard and ask them what they can do better than what we have done. That is the competition we want to have with our competitors. We do not want to compete on the basis of insults. We do not want to compete on the basis of all the other things that they are engaged in. We want to compete on the basis of transformation of our nation. Who has better ideas, who have a better scorecard, and who have a better plan for the future of the nation. And that is why, as I stand here, I want to encourage you, as leaders of UDA, part of the problem we have had is that we have had too much negativity. The reason why Professor has taken time, together with Seth and Kimani and Aaron, have taken time to explain to us. And the reason why you have a pamphlet, kila mtu wako na pamphlet hapa saizi, on the scorecard of the party, so that you can stand on any forum and explain to the people of Kenya where we were, where we are, and where we are going. Si kila mtu sasa hako na manifesto, hako na scorecard ya chama. Because we do not want to come to any constituency or any ward, and we are struggling to tell the people what this administration has done. You allow people with propaganda na watu tu wa fitina waeleze wananchi hakuna kazi imefanyika. Today as I talk to you, the roads that had stalled, nyinyi mnajua, when we came into office, most contractors had left sites. Majority of the contractors had left sites. Lakini leo, all the contractors are back. All of them. Kama kuna mahali maybe 5% ndio bado, lakini 95% of the contractors are on site. They are working. And I want to confirm to you, we raised 175 billion. We are raising another 120 billion to make sure that all our contractors are on site until we complete the 6,000 kilometers of road that is going on in Kenya today. Hiyo program inaendelea. Program ya kwa mfano, nimeona dada yangu wa Mushomba yuko hapa. Pigeni makofi. We had a big problem with Mau Mau roads. Si ni kweli? And that was the quarrel wa Mushomba had with me. Maneno ya Mau Mau roads. And I want to say, when we came into office, only 20% of Mau Mau roads, only 20% of Mau Mau roads had gone on. About 600 kilometers of Mau Mau roads, only 20% had been done. Today, most of those roads are either 50, 60, 70% complete. And all contractors are on site. This year alone, we have allocated 2 billion shillings for Mau Mau roads. And we want to make sure we complete all the Mau Mau roads before 2027, so that we make sure that we can keep our promise to the people of Kenya as we spread road infrastructure across the Republic of Kenya. Tuko pamoja jameni? There was no way we were going to do all this when our economy was in tatters. And that is why we took time to consolidate our economy, to make sure that we make the right decision so that we can stand on a firm footing to drive our development agenda. And let me complete by saying the following. Now that we have a great scorecard that we are undertaking, most of the programs have been rolled into place. We now have a plan for the future, because we need continuity. And because we have a plan for the future, you have heard us say that we now have a clear plan on how we are going to move our country to the first world. And we also are not just talking about a plan. We also know how to finance that plan. You mnanielewa? Because the problem with Kenya is not the absence of plans, is not the public, is not even money. It is the knowledge to understand how to craft innovative mechanisms of implementing and executing a plan. And that is what we have developed. We have an innovative plan on how to build roads. We have an innovative plan on how to drive our agenda into the future. And that is why we have said three things. Number one, for Kenya to move to the first world, we must generate at least 10,000 megawatts of additional energy. Today, sikizeni ndugu zangu, today in Kenya, we have 3,300 megawatts of energy. 3,300. Since independence. I went to Ethiopia this last year, about 3-4 months ago. We went to launch what is called the Gad Dam. In that dam, one dam, they are producing 5,400 megawatts. One dam. The whole of Kenya is 3,300. Munaona iko shida ama hakuna shida? Na ni shida hiyo ni kidogo ama ni kubwa? Shida hiyo ni kubwa sana. Sisi tunaelewana? And you know, we cannot drive our transformation if we do not have the energy to drive it. That is why we need to generate more energy. We cannot commit ourselves to industrialization if we do not generate energy. To generate that energy, we need between 10 and 12 billion dollars. That's about 1.5 trillion Kenya shillings. And do not worry, we will get the 1.5 trillion shillings. Tuko na njia ya kupata hiyo pesa. Do you understand what I'm saying? So that is the way we want to go. Let me give you an example. When I was invited to go to the United States by President Joe Biden, we signed an agreement between Kenya, Microsoft of America, and G42 of UAE to do data centers. Because that's the future. Technology is the future. And because we have green energy, America and UAE said Kenya is the right place so that we can use geothermal energy to drive our data centers. So tukaweka kidole ile kitu, tumefurahi sana. Mimi nimekuja hapa, metangaza maneno mzuri kabisa tu. Hii project ni ya karibu 1.2 billion dollars. Sasa kufanya assessment tukaambiwa data center moja inahitaji 1000 megawatts of energy. Kenya mzima iko 3000. Yani kuimplement hiyo data center moja, we have to shut down a third of the country. Sasa hiyo kitu ikakwama. Nyinyi mnanielewa? So going into the future, we cannot move Kenya forward unless we generate energy. And I want to tell you, we have enough energy. We have almost 10,000 megawatts in geothermal alone. We have 20,000 megawatts of energy in wind energy. We have enough reserves to generate sufficient energy to drive our industrialization, our manufacturing, and our technology progression. Tunaelewana? That is why we have said, as a country, in the next 5 to 7 years, we must generate 10,000 megawatts of energy, and we must have the resources to do it. Number two, we have also said, for us to move Kenya to the next level, we must stop living on the edge. It is a big shame that 60-something years after independence, we are still importing food into Kenya. For your information, we still import 500 billion of food into Kenya. Mahindi tuna import. Wheat we import. Rice we are importing. Edible oil we are importing. I don't know what we are importing. It's a big shame. And that is why we have said we need to transform our agriculture. The biggest potential we have today in agriculture is in our arid and semi-arid areas. That is the place where we have the most land. Galana Kulalu is an example. Many of the other areas is an example. That's why we have said we must build 50 mega dams, 200 medium-sized dams, and close to 1,000 other micro dams. Why? So that we can bring 2.5 million acres, additional million acres, into production. With 2.5 million acres under irrigation and modern infrastructure, we will not only stop importing food, because, and you know, if we stop importing food, we immediately, save 500 billion shillings we used to import food into Kenya. And number two, we can now export more into the world, into the region, and globally. That is why we are undertaking that we are going to do this, and we want to begin that process. We have dams that have been in our books forever. It is time to actualize those dams. And then number three, we have said we cannot develop Kenya without infrastructure. We must have roads, we must have a railway, we must have an airport, we must develop our seaports. And we have the mechanism to do it. That is why we have mapped out, as I talk to you, we are mapping out an extra 28,000 kilometers. We want to make sure that we connect Kenya. we are mapping out 2,500 kilometers of dual carriageway. And we are mapping out a new airport.